What happens when the most powerful currency in the world begins to lose its dominance? Today, we're going to explore what could happen if a hegemonic currency like the US dollar starts to fall. Let's get into it. The US dollar isn't just a national currency. It's the foundation of the global financial system. Since World War II, the dollar has held a unique and powerful status. It's the world's main reserve currency, involved in over 80% of all global trade transactions. Why does that matter? Because countries across the world hold US dollars in their central banks. When nations trade, especially in oil, gas, and raw materials, they often price those deals in dollars, even if the US isn't involved. This keeps global demand for the dollar high. It gives the United States the power to borrow cheaply, print money without immediate consequences, and maintain influence over the world's financial system. The dollar gives the US incredible geopolitical leverage, especially when using sanctions as a weapon. But no currency holds power forever. History has shown this. Before the dollar, it was the British pound. Before that, the Dutch guilder. Each one rose as their country grew in economic and political power, and each one eventually fell. The typical pattern is always similar. A country becomes the world's leading economy and trading force. Its military influence expands. Its currency becomes trusted, stable, and widely used. But eventually, things change. Debt piles up. Economic growth slows. Political divisions grow. Other nations catch up. And confidence in the currency starts to fade. That's what happened to the British pound after World War II. The UK was heavily in debt. The US had become the dominant economy. The dollar slowly replaced the pound as the global currency of trust. Now, some experts say we're seeing early signs that the dollar may be heading in a similar direction. The US national debt has passed $34 trillion. Printing more dollars may provide short-term relief, but over time it weakens the dollar's value and damages global trust. Inflation, political gridlock, and declining productivity add even more pressure. At the same time, we're seeing more countries trying to reduce their dependence on the dollar. This is called de-dollarization. China, Russia, India, and Brazil are using their own currencies in more and more trade agreements. Some are building alternative payment systems. Others are holding fewer US dollars in their reserves. The BRICS nations are even talking about creating a new currency to reduce the dollar's global dominance. It's still just an idea, but it shows how countries are preparing for a possible shift. Then there's technology. China is leading the development of central bank digital currencies. Its digital yuan is already being tested in major cities and could one day be used for international trade. That would allow countries to bypass the dollar-based system entirely. So, what happens if the US dollar truly begins to lose its global power? First, the US economy would take a hit. Right now, America can borrow at low interest rates because the world wants dollars. If global demand for dollars drops, interest rates would go up. That means more expensive loans, rising debt payments, and higher inflation. The US would no longer be able to run huge deficits without consequences. Second, the US would lose some of its global influence. Financial sanctions would become less effective. Other countries could move money around the world without touching US systems. That would limit America's political leverage. Third, financial markets would face serious turbulence. Investors would move away from dollar-denominated assets. Stock prices could fall. Gold, crypto, and stronger currencies might rise. It would be a time of uncertainty and volatility. Eventually, a new global system would begin to take shape. But instead of one dominant currency, it might be a mix. A multipolar world where several currencies share influence. The euro, the Chinese yuan, maybe even some blockchain-based digital currencies. Can any one currency replace the dollar? The euro is strong, but the European Union is politically divided. That weakens confidence. The Chinese yuan is backed by a large economy, but China controls its currency and limits capital flows. That scares off investors. Gold is trusted, but it's not practical for everyday use. And cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum have potential, but they're still too volatile and unregulated to serve as global reserves, at least for now. Realistically, we might be moving into a world where there's no single dominant currency. Instead, we'll likely see a more balanced system with multiple players. So, what can you do to prepare for this shift? First, don't panic. These changes don't happen overnight. It takes years, sometimes decades, for a currency to lose its global status. But it's smart to pay attention. Second, diversify. Don't keep all your savings or investments in a single currency. Explore foreign currencies, gold, crypto, and international stocks. Global ETFs can give you exposure to different economies and reduce risk. Third, stay informed. Watch how governments and central banks react to inflation, debt, and digital currencies. These are the pressure points that will shape the future. Finally, take advantage of the dollar's current strength. If you earn in dollars, now could be a good time to invest internationally or secure favorable exchange rates for future opportunities. Studio microphone. So, what happens when a hegemonic currency like the dollar falls? We witness a shift in power, new financial rules, and a new era for global money. No currency lasts forever, but if you stay informed and diversify smartly, you can stay ahead of the curve. Right finger if this video gave you value. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'm J03, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.